Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
March 5, 2020, the Kid Gloves edition. First up, from the New York Times, are frequent flyer miles killing the planet? Climate activists say it's time to rethink loyalty programs that reward customers for taking flights. As someone who travels for business quite a bit, being a frequent flyer is certainly a perk that I've enjoyed for many, many years. But it means that I'm one of those people who's traveling a lot. And if air travel is one of the things that has led to climate change, then it could logically mean that frequent flyers programs, which encourage flying, could also be a part of the problem. So it's going to be interesting to see what might happen for those who travel. Although one of the things that may come out of the coronavirus pandemic, if we're that far along, is that people may actually start utilizing not social media, but communications tools. Next up, from the Wall Street Journal, the SEC has a plan which would allow startups to raise more money under, quote, Lighttouch, end quote, rules. Under the plan, crowdfunding limit would be raised from $1 million to $5 million, and startups and small companies would be allowed to raise more money from investors by opting for a Lighttouch fundraising methods rather under a plan made public. The proposal seeks to further ease measures for such crowdfunding, which was supposed to make it cheaper and easier to raise limited pools of capital online. In a very interesting article in the New York Times, it appears that an official from the Consumer Financial Protection Board, a Trump administration official, promised to Wells Fargo that they would be given a light touch and political oversight of their enforcement actions. I think this really speaks to the issues from the Trump administration by interfering, or at least attempting to interfere, with law enforcement, as they did, as Trump did directly when he ordered Barr to change the sentencing memorandum around Roger Stone. But here we have it on the civil side of things, that Wells Fargo's board had been promised political oversight of any enforcement actions brought by the Department of Justice. Apparently that did not happen because we had a $3 billion fine levied in February. Nevertheless, it shows the Trump administration willing to take away law enforcement oversight of U.S. companies for political reasons. And finally, for those who may not remember the name, but Anthony Lewandowski was one of the people in the Uber saga. He once ran Uber's self-driving car unit, and Wednesday he was ordered to pay Google $179 million for a theft of trade secrets. He left Google in 2016 to form Otto, and later that year Uber acquired Otto for some $700 million. But it turned out that he had stolen multiple and millions of records of trade secrets of Google. The next day after the verdict was announced, Lewandowski filed for bankruptcy. So an interesting part of the Uber saga continues. This was a very contentious matter, and Google won a big claim against Uber directly, or rather settled as well. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. I hope you'll tune in again tomorrow.